going to look at a picture question in Greek religion, but a lot of what we do here today can be used for the picture questions in Greek theatre. The big picture question is worth 10 marks. There is usually some preliminary questions of 1 mark each, 2 or 3 of them. So let's have a look at 1A. Identify what could be the structure in the centre of this picture. So the structure in the centre of the picture is a column or a pillar. So later on in the question we can talk about what that means. It's probably indoors, but at the moment we keep it short because it's only worth 1 mark. 1B is name the priestess who could be found in the temple of Apollo. Well, it is the Pythia priestess. It's not the oracle. Remember, the priestess of Apollo, the Pythia, receives the oracle of Apollo. The oracle is Apollo's word, and she receives that. So the answer is the Pythia. Number 2, this is the big question then. This is a big 10-mark question. Evaluate how useful this pot is as a source of information about the experience of visiting the oracle. Now, this is a question where you don't need a conclusion. It's a spotting exercise. You should look at the picture carefully and you should pick out all the bits of evidence and discuss their worth. Evaluate how useful the evidence is. Now, not all picture questions will be evaluate the evidence, but most of them will be. So most of them will get you to talk about the evidence, whether it's Greek theatre and you're looking at theatre costumes or staging, or whether it's Greek religion and you're looking at the pot, how much does it tell us about the experience of visiting the Pythia. So let's have a look first of all. So it is the bottom of a cup. It's the round bit at the bottom of a cup. It's the tondo. Now, the artist has only got a limited amount of space to actually put the picture. So you can mention that, how the artist has got put the most important things in the picture, such as the Pythia, the gentleman either visiting or the priest, and what looks like that pillar. And we've got a number of things that identify this as a visit to the Pythia. So you've got the tripod that she sits on, but you can't tell the material of it. It's only later on that you see it's a bronze tripod, because we have bronze tripods that are dedicated to Apollo. So do you see how this works? We'll look at each piece of evidence and we'll look at how much the vase tells you about it. So we've got the tripod the Pythia sits on, but we can't tell whether it's bronze. We've got the Pythia with a veil on, which accords with the evidence elsewhere that she was a modest lady. We've got the prominence of the laurel plant. It's a very simple leaf, but we know from elsewhere Apollo's plant was the laurel. So you've got the Pythia holding the laurel and you've got the consultant or priest on the right-hand side with a laurel crown. We've got the Pythia looking into a bowl, maybe a libation bowl. We can't tell that she's telling the future from that bowl, so we can't draw big conclusions from that. All it is a bowl, an offering bowl, a libation bowl, as far as we can see. On the right-hand side, we've got either the priest or consultant. We know from elsewhere that only males visited the oracle, the Pythia, but in this picture, this is just one instance, so it's a man here. We need other evidence to tell us it is other, males were only able to visit. As well as a man on the right-hand side, we don't know whether it's a priest or a consultant. We don't have that information. We do have the column in the middle of the drawing. We can presume that it is in the inside of a building, inside of a temple, but we have to look at evidence from elsewhere to find that the Pythia was probably in a separate room they had it on when receiving the oracle of Apollo. If we have a little look at the laurel leaves again. Now, there's all kinds of stories about the laurel leaves, whether she chewed them and was ecstatic. She looks quite calm here. and our evidence for novel chewing is from much later on. This calmness is the same calmness that Professor Emma Dench of Harvard has talked about when she said the other sources, literary sources, say the Pythia is calm, not in a frenzy. So you see what we've done there? We've picked every bit of evidence. We've picked the tripod, we've picked the column, we've picked the consultant or priest, we've picked the laurel branch, we've picked the laurel wreath, we've picked the bowl, we've picked the veil, and we've talked about them, and we focused on how useful the evidence is. So I'll just reiterate again, there's a tripod, but we can't tell it's a bronze tripod. There's a man, but this is the only one vase example. We need other evidence to tell us only males visited the oracle. There's a veil, which suggests she's modest, and we know that from elsewhere. So what you're doing is a bit of a balancing act. You are looking at the evidence, and you're looking at how far do we know this is the standard experience of visiting the Pythia. So 10 marks. 10 marks there, so you should be looking at the limitations of the vase, which is a cup, a kylix, and it's the bottom of the cup, so you can't express a lot of seeing on there. You have to put the most important elements. You should be looking at the veil. You should be looking at the laurel on the Pythia, the laurel on the consultant, the libation bowl, the bronze tripod, the column. And if you reference all this evidence and write about what it tells you, you should hit 10 marks. You should hit all 10 marks. We will look at other pictures later on, but just remember, the examiner wants you to pick out a lot of detail from these pictures. So if there's a character on the vase you haven't talked about, or a scene or an object on the vase you haven't talked about, then it's likely you're going to lose marks. So pick out an item and explain it. It is a spotting exercise. You don't need an introduction, you don't need a conclusion. Some people think an introductory sentence helps with the flow. So an introductory sentence is fine, you don't need a conclusion, you're just spotting things. Okay, we'll do another picture question shortly.